Concerning marriage, our Chazal tell us, Arboim Yom Kodim Yitziras Avlav, 40 days before the baby is formed. Baskol Yoitzeis V'Omeres, that there is a heavenly voice that proclaims, Bas Ploini La Ploini, the daughter of so-and-so will marry this particular young man. A lot of people have asked the question, is it possible for one to lose their Bashert, Chas v'Sholom, to lose the one that was called out from heaven? Is that possible? The great Steipler Gaon says, when that particular name was called out from Shemayim, it's not a gezerah, it's not a decree that it has to take place. It only means that there is someone that is mat'im. It only means there's someone that is suited, someone that is proper, someone that you can find something in common with to build a future. However, an individual has bechira. They have free choice. They can go in whichever way they want. They can be makarev the shidduch, they can bring it closer, or they can push it further away. They can go in whichever direction they want. Sometimes if an individual acts modestly, an individual has humility, and they realize it's a shasa kosher, that this is the charm time. They have somebody that they could envision the future together with, and they're able to act on it and commit. That is a great zechus. That in itself is a privilege and a great merit. There is an individual that came to me. For several years he's going out. He's a very reputable individual, very fine person, an individual that's popular, good-looking, midas, everything. However, he couldn't find the proper girl for him. Well, finally, one day, somebody comes in from the southern United States, they meet, and immediately things began to take shape. It moved along very quickly. He came into me and he says, Rabbi, I am now ready to get engaged. I couldn't believe it. He says to me, I have to do it quickly because in 3 days I've got to return to university in California. They got engaged, and the chassan went back to California. One day while he's there is a so-called mystic that came to town, sets up shop. People came to see him. And the mystic is able to tell certain things about the person because he takes a look at the writing, and he sees the writing, sees certain things that he analyzes, and he tells the person all about themselves, their future, their past, whatever. So the chassan gives to him his writing, and the man begins to tell him different things. The chassan also reveals to him that he's engaged. So the mystic said, why don't you bring me some of the writing of the Kala? The chassan said, I have a letter that she gave to me to read on the plane. I have it in the apartment, and I'll go and bring it. He hurries to the apartment, brings back the letter. The mystic takes a look at the letter and begins to move his head back and forth. This is not a very good person. I would not suggest that you get married to her. The chassan hears it. He accepts it. He doesn't question it. He gets all nervous, goes to the telephone, calls up the Kala and says, I'm very sorry, but there's a mystic that came to town. He saw your writing. He told me you're not a very good woman, and therefore I would like to break our engagement. And that was the end. He came to tell me about it when he came back to New York. I asked him, how could you do that? You're engaged. Years you went out. You didn't find such a woman with so many virtues, everything that spoke to your heart. What happened? He just did not want to hear anything. And he left the house rather abruptly. Well, a few months later, he came back to town. This time, called me up, Rabbi, would you please allow me to come to meet with you? I said, yes. His comportment was much different this time. He comes in with his head bowed. Rabbi, I'm sorry. You were so right. All the years I never found anybody like her. I miss her terribly. Not only that, I went out a few times and I realized it is clear like the day that this is the girl for me. What do? I got to get her back. I said, Hashem gave her to you once. We can try. Rabbi, would you help me? I said, okay. After he left, I called her father, and I began to talk with her father. He knows me. And we got around to the subject of his daughter. And he told me, oh, you know, she is now engaged to a doctor in Chicago. I said, thank you very much. Mazel and Brochen should have a lot of nachas. I hung up the telephone. I called the former chassan. He came to the house and I told him. He took it very, very hard. And I told him, listen, Bez Hashem, you'll see what happens. Be mispalo, pray for the future. He says, yeah, but Rebbe, what if I lost my bashert? What if I lost the one that was called out from Shemayim for me? I said, don't worry about it. You pray. Don't pray to get her back. That's not a prayer that you should pray. We are not mispalo like that. But Bez Hashem, that you should have a fine kala. This former chassan took my word so seriously that every day, a guy that had trouble getting up in the morning for minyan was there every day a half an hour earlier saying Tehillim. Every single day. Nisim niflos. Miracles do happen. One day, I get the bsura that the engagement with the doctor in Chicago broke off. The chassan, former chassan, also heard about it. He rushed to the house. How do I get her back? I said, well, I would not suggest cold calling her. We came up with a plan. I would gently call the father. I would speak to him. I would tell him of the former chassan's regret, how terrible he feels, the mistake that he made, the mistake of a lifetime, and we'll see what can happen. I also suggested to the former chassan that he should make something for her with his own two hands. He's an individual with very talented with his hands. I said, make something for her that we can send to her with a letter of apology. The chassan took the word seriously. He did exactly what I told him. He made her something beautiful. He sent it together with a very heart-rending letter of apology. I called. She agreed to speak to him for a short telephone call. They spoke, and then somehow, with great, great hashgacha, they went out. 3 months later, they were married with chuppah v'kiddushin. Arboim yoim, koidem yitzira savlad. 40 days before we're born, that baskol goes out. But we got to be listening.